Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Operation Public Safety meeting. We're going to get started here. We got quite a few things on our agenda tonight. First, Kim, can you take roll call, please?
Thank you, Council President. Council President Boyce?
Here.
Councilmember Fincher?
Here.
Councilmember Kaur?
Here.
Councilmember Larmer?
Here.
Councilmember Michaud?
Here.
Councilmember Thomas?
Here.
Councilmember Troutner?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. First, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve our agenda tonight.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion been moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4. And the first thing, item number 4 is business. Is item number A, approval of the minutes from October 18th.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval of October 18th, 2022 minutes.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. We're going to move on to item 4C, and it's an ordinance on amendment, which we talked about.
Don't you do B?
Well, let's do B then, if you want to do that. Okay. Hey, how about a motion on the bill, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move for payment of the bills.
Got a motion and second. In discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Now, item C. I just couldn't wait for you, Christina. So this is an amendment on the unlawful camping on public property, and we had talked about this many, many times. So, Christina, please.
Good afternoon. So before you today is a minor technical change to the language in one section of the camping ordinance.
Kim?
This is a non-substantive.
What's wrong?
I can't hear very much.
You can.
Is the volume up or anything?
Yeah.
You guys can hear okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You've been on that boat too long. Proceed, Christina.
So before you is just a non-substantive change to one section of the camping ordinance. It basically, what it simply does is clarify the language within section 030B. If it's approved, and also if this is approved because it is a non-substantive change, it will go directly to consent calendar at council tonight.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm happy to answer any questions.
So we had a chance to look at this. Any question, thoughts, concern around this here? Team? Are we okay?
All right.
With that said, who have the motion on this?
I do, Mr.
Please.
Chair, and I would move to adopt ordinance number 4444, amending section 8.09.030 of the Kent City Code entitled Unlawful Camping on Public Property to make a non-substantive clarification to the language within this section.
Got a motion on the table, I think. Have a second, please.
Second?
Okay.
Much better.
All, there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Christina, you've done a phenomenal job on this here, really kind of educating us along the process. I want to thank you for all the work you have done.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to item number D, which is the comprehensive plan for our 2023-2028 capital improvement. Paula Painter.
Well, good afternoon, Council President Boyce, members of the City Council. I'm here to talk about the 2023 through 28 Capital Improvement Plan. As you know, this is a required 6-year plan that we do in order to be in alignment with the Growth Management Act that was passed by the Washington State Legislature back in 1990. The overall plan will cost $243 million, but within the 2023-24 budget, $109.1 million will be included. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
And as I stated before, we have seen this before, so any question for Paula?
In that case, Mr. Chair, I would move to adopt ordinance number 4445, amending the capital facilities element of the Kent Comprehensive Plan to include the 2023 through 2028 capital improvement program.
You have a second?
I did better on that one.
Okay, motion and second. In discussion. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Thank you, Paula. Okay, we'll move on to item E, the comprehensive plan amendment, and Christine. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much, Council. It's good to be here today. I have several items before you today, all related to amendments to the comprehensive plan or our budget process. The first one, item E, is for updates to the comprehensive plan to incorporate the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority's 6-year capital improvement plan. So they are required under state law to plan for concurrency with growth, and so they take into account the cities and the other agencies that or cities that they serve in terms of the capacity and level of service. And so they create a 6-year plan that their board has adopted, and now it's up to our council to incorporate it into our comprehensive plan. Because it's an amendment, it did require a hearing, and we hosted that on October 18th.
Thank you, Christine. Any question for Christine? Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 4446, amending the capital facilities element of the Kent Comprehensive Plan by adopting the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority's 2023 to 2028 capital improvement plan, including updating the fire impact fees.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. And I pronounced your name wrong. Forgive me. You need to correct me. It's Kristen, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think I called you Christine, so forgive me. Okay. Move on to item number F. Kristen, please.
Thank you. Similar to fire, we also adopt the school districts that serve our Kent residents for their 6-year capital facilities plans. 3 districts out of the 5 submitted plans, we do not have an interlocal agreement with Renton School District, and so we do not have any fees that we collect, mostly because all of the land that's likely to redevelop would be industrial or commercial and not residential. And Highline School District has not submitted any facilities plans for several years, and that was the same this year. This year, Kent School District, as well as Federal Way, will be changing and decreasing their fees to 0. This is largely because of impacts from COVID, hybrid learning environments, and they have not seen the enrollment back to pre-pandemic levels yet. Auburn has seen a return of students and services to that pre-pandemic level, so they're back on track for the growth that they projected, and so they do have some slight changes to their fees. And this is the first part. You're going to be voting on 2 parts. The first is to amend our comprehensive plan, and then the second part is to actually change the code so that the fees reflect what are in their capital facilities element. So it's a 2-step process, one to change the code, one to change the comp plan itself.
Thank you, Kristen. Any question for Kristen? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion, please.
All right, I will take the first one. Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 4447, amending the capital facilities element of the comprehensive plan by adopting the Kent, Auburn, and Federal Way School Districts 2023 to 2028 capital facilities plans.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. We'll move on to item G.
So this is the second part, and this is to change the code to reflect the city does not keep any of those fees. They're passed directly onto the school districts that collect them, or that have identified the fees.
Okay, thank you. I'm asking for a motion, please. Assuming we don't have any questions.
Nope.
Okay,
Chair, I move to adopt ordinance 4448, amending sections 12.13.160 and 12.13.170 of the Kent City Code to adjust the school impact fees for the Kent, Auburn, and Federal Way school districts.
Second.
motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. You done your deed for today. Thank you. All right, Paula, bring us home. Item H, the tax code amendment.
All right, so this has definitely been a journey. We had kicked off the 2023-24 biennial budget process back in September. We've held many workshops on this topic, and some of the topics involved some of our redistribution of how we're utilizing our tax revenue. So the first ordinance I'm going to walk you through is going to talk about our utility taxes and our B&O taxes. If you recall, when the B&O tax was adopted, there were some restrictions that were put into that that ordinance, that city code, that allowed a portion of those dollars to be used for maintaining our streets, for our parks capital, and for IT, hardware and software life cycle items. The adjustments that are made to this code will remove those restrictions, and you'll see with the next ordinance that I'll be bringing forward, we'll be putting those restrictions in, but this time under the property tax category of revenue. In addition, we do have some utility taxes in which our capital resources fund received. The ordinance that's in front of you will be modifying the distribution of that water, sewer, and drainage utility tax so that those dollars would then, the portion that was going into the capital resources fund would then go into the general fund. The net effect of all of this move is really a zero net effect. We're moving it from one pot to another. As you know, what's prompted this is that our property tax is limited to that 1% growth. And we do know our ongoing operating expenditures, which do exist in the general fund, grow at a much faster rate. This gives us a lot more control on how we're utilizing and spending those dollars. And it will be used, these dollars for B&O tax and utility tax would be used to support the general fund ongoing revenues. And as you'll see, we'll talk about property tax next, and a portion of that would be used to continue to support your initial intent with that, and that was to support our streets, our parks, and IT capital. So I have the ordinance to revise that code for both B&O and utility taxes, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
You already answered all the questions on this here. I'm not sure we have any more. So I'm assuming that. Okay, let's move on to this item H, and I guess I'll ask for a motion.
Okay. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 4449, amending sections 3.18.020, 328.010, and 328.130 of the Kent City Code to revise the fund allocation for the tax revenue generated from the city's tax on water, sewer, and drainage utilities, and to remove limitations on the allocation of revenue generated from the city's B&O tax and square footage tax.
What a mouthful. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Move on item I, property tax.
All right, so property tax, a good portion of this property tax ordinance that you have in front of you, it should be very familiar to you. It is one that you see every single year where we do adopt our property tax levy amount, which is based on 1% more than we collected last year, plus new construction, and then any adjustments that King County may have made. As you can see, the 2022 assessed valuation in Kent was $27 billion, excuse me. There's a few more zeros on that. $27 billion compared to 2023's estimated amount of $32 billion. You'll notice that as our values do continue to go up because of that 1% limitation, the tax rate that a person pays is continuing to decline. It is estimated at this point to be about $1.05 per 1,000 assessed valuation. And as a reminder, the amount that you see here, the $579 that the taxpayer will pay, really is only Kent's portion, which is about 11% of the overall bill for our taxpayer. So as an organization, we do receive a very small portion of that overall tax assessment. The ordinance was updated to add in language about distribution of that money, in which 52.5% of all the property tax revenue that we receive will go into our capital resources fund to support our capital program. The other 47.5% will stay within the general fund. The ordinance also includes some language putting back those restrictions that we just removed from the last one, in which our street fund would receive for 2023, $8.25 million towards their streets capital. That amount will grow by 2% each year, which is on average what we're seeing our growth in our property tax. It would also allocate $2.75 million for our parks capital, and that too will grow by 2%, and then $1.65 million for our hardware and software replacement. This does put back all the intent that you had in the other ordinances, portions of the city code. And other than that, everything related to property tax is ultimately staying the same. And I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any question for Paula team? Okay, like the other one, we have talked about this quite a bit, so I'm going to ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 4450, approving the property tax levy ordinance for the 2023 budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Item J, adopting the budget.
All right, so this will be the last ordinance I bring before you this evening, and this is to adopt the 2023-24 budget. Overall, the 2023-24 budget will total $852.1 million. Of that, $235.1 million is within the general fund. This budget was fairly status quo. The changes that you do see within the budget did have financing sources to go with those. There were some equity projects that were added, including $800,000 towards the equity strategic plan implementation, an additional $150,000 for the translation of vital city documents, and $100,000 towards community court. There were also $1.8 million each year that were added for police enhancements, and in addition, there were permit center staffing needs, additional staffing to meet their growing demand within the permit center, and again, those would be covered by permit center revenues. Bringing back some additional dollars for the Green Kent that would provide staffing for the city's investment into Mill Creek and Van Doren's Landing, if I can get that out. It would also bring back the volunteer coordinator, who would be able to leverage about $150,000 in volunteer work in some of our vital areas. And then finally, you can see also the solar panels there for our senior center, which is supplemented by also a grant, and infrastructure, which includes the Kent East Hill Operations Center and the facilities reinvestment. At this point, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Councilmember Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paula, could you go back to that slide a second?
Yes.
So, police enhancements, does that have body cameras, for example?
So that's going to be additional dollars necessary for recruitments. There is red light cameras that's included in some of that. There are the flock hardware and software. There's the restoration of a position that was eliminated when we did the COVID cuts back in spring of 2020, and it would also restore 2 of the frozen positions that they have.
So body cameras would be put someplace else in the budget for the police?
The body cameras were part of the 2022 budget.
Okay.
There are still some dollars related to that where we do pay. We have to still pay for the maintenance and the costs for having that service. So yes, those are in there as well.
And then the second follow-up is I noticed that the amount has been reduced from, not much, but 1842 to 1805.
That has to do with the timing. So some of these items are one-time expenditures that they'll have in 2023 that do not carry over into 2024.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance number 4451, adopting the 2023 to 2024 biennial budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Let the records show unanimous pass. First, I want to thank the mayor and the leadership team. When we met back in the summer, we asked for a flat budget, and that's exactly what we got with any big changes to the budget. Second, I want to thank the finance team, the dream team, what a phenomenal job. A lot of work you guys packed in at the last minute and always come through with the tremendous amount of work that you guys get to do to make this happen. So kudos to the finance team, and make sure you pass that down to the worker bees as well, too. Okay? All righty. Team, any comments, thoughts?
If I might.
Please. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I just want the public to know that in this budget process, it's not like everybody gets what they want. There's a lot of compromise that goes into. There's a balancing act. And so what we've come up with, I believe, is a very good balanced budget. And I really thank the mayor for what she's accomplished. Again, I thank the finance team for what they've done. And that's about it, Mr. Chair. I just think they've done a good job.
All right. I think we're all in agreement. We just approved everything. So that means we're all one team.
Yeah.
Okay, with that said, we are going to adjourn at 4:23, and then we'll resume our meeting. Did I have a hand up? I'm sorry. Councilman McCord, you got your, did I forget you? You sure? Yeah. I'm so sorry. Are you sure? Okay. All right. We'll adjourn to 5. Thank you so much. We'll adjourn.